CNN just came out with the craziest article that I have probably read in the last little while about why Ticketmaster, they're telling a company what they should do. They're saying that Ticketmaster should not allow Tucker Carlson to sell his upcoming tickets for his tour. I mean, they're actually coming to Utah, so I actually might go see him potentially. But they're literally interfering, asking another company to not just do what they do, which is sell tickets. I want to break down what they say and go through it with everybody just to show how crazy the media is and how hell-bent they are on taking out people that they just simply disagree with. And it's just so crazy because, and before I even go into this, it's insane to see how left-wing media wants to shut down right-wing media so hard. You never hear from right-wing media that their huge goal is to take down left-wing media. It's just not. They talk about how much they hate it. They talk about how ridiculous it is. They talk about how it's failing and how people just don't really want to read it or watch it anymore. But they never say, oh yeah, we should literally shut down CNN. It just doesn't happen. They don't say, oh, NBC. Yeah, NBC, whoever funds them should just stop. We just don't say that because we know that their ideas suck and the way they've managed their companies is going to fail, so it's going to happen on their own, and we can still keep them accountable, but we don't need to go out and actually talk about companies doing something against our political opponents. So showing you right now, this is how it starts, and I'm just going to break down each paragraph. It's truly insane. They start out this way. They say, and by the way, just so you know who writes this piece, it's Oliver Darcy at CNN, who's a truly garbage journalist, by the way. He starts off saying this. He says, Ticketmaster is linking arms with right-wing extremists, boosting their ability to reach mainstream audiences and profiting off their dangerous and hateful rhetoric ahead of the November election. First off, Ticketmaster is not linking arms with right-wing media just by selling tickets. That's just what they do. They don't care who it is. They're just allowing people to do it. And by the way, if you talk to about half of America, they would all say that Tucker Carlson is no radical. He's just a kind of normal conservative. I have a feeling even if you asked a lot of people on the left, they'd be like, yeah, we don't agree with what he says, but he's not some radical. I mean, he's not Nick Fuentes. I mean, sure, yeah. If Nick Fuentes is on here, you could say he was a radical. I still think Ticketmaster should keep his tickets on because that's what they do and they shouldn't be discriminating in that way. In any case, he continues by writing, the ticketing sales giant is the distributor of the forthcoming live speaking tour from Tucker Carlson, who announced plans this week to crisscross the country with a 15-city arena tour inviting this is the crazy part, they say fellow conspiracy theorists such as Alex Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene to join him along the way. A couple things on that. First off, is Tucker Carlson a conspiracy theorist for just asking questions? I don't think he is. If you want to call him being skeptical of the government a conspiracy theory, I suppose you could wrap him in that. I think it's really crazy. I think it's more crazy that people on the left give all their trust in the government. I think that's more scary than just being skeptical. Like he's just a little skeptical, for instance. I'm guessing what they're talking about here is his stance on what happened on January 6th. He's a little skeptical of how that went down. He sees police officers letting people in the building, and it's not a conspiracy theory. He's just, oh, that's kind of weird. Maybe I should look into that. Also, is it possible, when they bring up Alex Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene, is it possible that Tucker Carlson wants them there because they're interesting people? I highly doubt that Tucker Carlson agrees with Alex Jones and Marjorie Taylor Greene about that many things. If they had said Alex Jones was a radical, I would have agreed with that. He totally is. But does that mean that it's not interesting to hear him on stage? I would love to hear Alex Jones on stage. He's really entertaining, and he believes in a ton of stuff that I don't believe in, and I think it would be really interesting to hear him. And honestly, Tucker Carlson is known for interviewing very interesting people. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, again, I don't agree with a lot of what she says, but she's in our Congress. I think it'd be really interesting to hear her perspective on how this Congress is working, especially considering the fact that she tends to be against a lot of the establishment Republicans. So she's, honestly, she's more famous, I would say, for putting blocks on Republicans than Democrats. So is that particularly radical that he's brought someone in that might be, kind of critical of both sides? I just don't see that. I don't understand how it's so crazy. And this happened too when Tucker Carlson went to Russia and interviewed Vladimir Putin. People were just they just couldn't deal with the fact that this guy wanted to interview someone that he was interested in. They're like, he's a Putin apologist, or he's just going to Russia because he wants to hear Putin's point of view. Isn't that what journalism is, by the way? Which I don't even think Tucker Carlson would consider himself a journalist at this point. But isn't that what CNN is supposed to be doing? They continue by saying, on the Ticketmaster website, Carlson is referred to as the leading voice in American politics and an alternative to corporate media dedicated to telling the truth about things that matter clearly and without fear. While it is hard to imagine that Ticketmaster conjured this glowing description of Carlson itself, it is remarkable a company would approve it and promote it on its site. Is it? That is their literal job. And again, if you're a company out there and you have all of America, because theoretically, everybody in America at some point or another might purchase a ticket, right? Some people might go to a political event like this. They might go to a less political event, maybe like David Goggins, someone that they just want to be inspired by, or they might go to a concert. Theoretically, your audience could be, your customer could be anybody in America. The dumbest thing that you can do, and you're seeing, and the last few years have been a testament to this, the dumbest thing you can do is do something incredibly political that cuts off half your customers. It's what Target did. That's why their stock sank. It's what Disney's done. It's why they're struggling big time in the box office. And so why would Ticketmaster publicly come out and bar Tucker Carlson from selling his tickets on there when they would lose so much revenue? It makes absolutely no sense. It doesn't make them right-wing. It just makes them a company. And I would expect no less if they were hosting an event with AOC or Bernie Sanders, for instance. He continues on, he says, that is because there's not a morsel of truth to how Ticketmaster is presenting Carlson to its customers. Carlson, by the way, that's a stupid sentence. If you're going to go see Tucker Carlson, you already know who he is. It's not like Ticketmaster is out there, it's not like people go on the web, they're searching for Ticketmaster. They're like, let's just see what there is to see. And then they see Tucker Carlson and they see the description and they're like, oh my gosh, this is such a glowing thing. I have no idea who Tucker Carlson is, but I'm going to go watch him now. That's never happened. People know who Tucker Carlson is. If they don't know who Tucker Carlson is, they're not going to go see his show. So the description really doesn't matter. He goes on by saying, Carlson, a former mainstream conservative who over the course of Donald Trump's presidency traveled to the fringes of American politics, has for years promoted dangerous disinformation and damaging conspiracy theories, aka what CNN doesn't like and what the liberals don't agree with. Carlson lied about the COVID-19 vaccines, discouraging his fans from receiving the life-saving shots. He sowed doubt about the legitimacy of the 2020 election, suggesting that it was rigged by sinister forces against Trump, and he reprehensibly peddled the false notion that the January 6th insurrection was a so-called false flag operation staged by the deep state. He asked questions. That's what he did. He asked questions. He interviewed people who were actually there at the scene, not just a random journalist who sat in the CNN offices. This is the difference. If we want to talk about journalism, Tucker Carlson has gone up and talked to Donald Trump. He's gone out and talked to the people who were at the January 6th riot. He's gone out and talked to Putin. He's gone out and talked, everything that they're talking about. He's gone out and actually talked to these people. And he's asked them questions. And he has formed certain conclusions. And his viewers have watched that and formed certain conclusions. But this journalist has sat in the CNN headquarters, has not done journalism. They've simply watched the actions of other people and called it something because he disagrees with it. So again, I don't know if Tucker Carlson would call himself a journalist. I think he's more of a political commentator, but he's still engaged in more journalism than the people at CNN. He continues on, and I'm not going to finish this whole thing because as you can see, it gets pretty long. I'm just going to read the very end because the end really sums up why this guy is upset and his bias. He says, companies with basic ethics should, of course, reject doing business with dishonest figures who profit by dumping toxic waste into the country's information environment, but doing so puts them at risk of being targeted by those very same people who, like Trump, have tremendous sway over the vast majority of Republicans and a lightning rod for painful boycotts. Okay, that end part is actually the most honest part. Yes, that is why companies don't do overly political things. It's as I said earlier. But this idea that just because this CNN person disagrees with the political narrative, that a company should act in the same way is absolutely crazy. And also, the narrative that just because you disagree with something means that you should not provide a service to them, I personally just completely reject that idea. I totally subscribe to Mill's freedom, kind of free marketplace of idea. And I think this CNN journalist really shows well how the left has completely rejected that. That used to be a liberal principle. It's still a classic liberal principle, but it's not a progressive principle. It's not something that jives with the Democrats, because they know in the free marketplace of ideas, the best ideas come to the top and the worst ideas go away. And they know that their ideas do not hold up under scrutiny. So they hate the marketplace of ideas now because they're not rooted in truth. And so, again, even if you think that Tucker Carlson is peddling disinformation, I don't believe he is. I think he's just asking questions and making people think for themselves. But even if you do believe that, you should believe that people should have the right to go out and watch what he has to say. And Ticketmaster should be able to profit off of that by people simply going out and listening. Again, I think Joe Biden, for instance, has totally peddled disinformation. If I heard that Joe Biden was coming and speaking near me, I would be interested in hearing what he had to say. Why? Because I like hearing different things. I'd be really interested to hear. I'm sure he would gaslight us. I'm sure he would gaslight Americans. And it'd be frustrating in one sense. But in the other sense, it's important to understand your enemy. It's important to understand people who disagree with you, not just because it's fascinating, but because if you don't understand the opposite side's argument, can you really have your own argument? That is the problem with liberals, especially the media, the left media. They don't even understand the other side's point of view, and they don't want anyone to. They just want their narrative said over and over again. So anyway, crazy article by CNN. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please go down below, comment, like, and subscribe, and watch another video.